Today I have William Seth-Ward. He is our lead inspector, master inspector, and a licensed Florida mold inspector. William, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, Jason. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off with something a little bit light. What's the craziest thing that you've seen in the last month?
Ooh, the craziest thing I've seen in the last month. Different versions of crazy. One that comes right to mind is I've done a couple final walkthrough inspections, houses that have their certificates of occupancies from the county that they are ready for someone to live in, and they don't have any insulation in their attic space. The AC is barely working. It's just running 24/7 to keep the house at the same temperature it's going to stay at all day. It's never cooling down, and that's just causing your energy bill to skyrocket. So that's kind of a crazy, like, wow, how did we miss this thing? We always see such the fun stuff at houses. We did a house on Tuesday afternoon that had a secret room in the bathroom. There was a bookshelf built into the wall, looked a little funky to me, started looking, found a screw, took the screw out, bookshelf comes off, there's a full door behind that goes into a secret hidden room that had been built up in the house. So it gets pretty crazy like that too.
Sounds like it. I know you've done a few sewer scopes and seen different types of insects, frogs, roaches, I think you saw one time.
Oh, yeah. We had, we've actually seen like coral snakes in water meters, bees in buried gas tank lids. A lot of natural gas or propane gas tanks that get buried out in your yard have a lid on it, a little circle on the top. Beehive went in there. Yeah, with our sewer scopes, we see all sorts of stuff, sometimes just some general debris. We did an inspection where a cable company had actually just directionally bored through the sewer drain line. So as we're going along, boom, there's the cable line going through the middle of the pipe. That would have caused an issue for you. Gatorade bottles, frogs are pretty common in there. They're just moving around and stuff like that. But we find it all. We did a sewer scope the other day, and what we found was that it looked like someone had previously had like the router guys out to route the pipe out and clean out any scaling and buildup, and that part of that device actually got broken off and stuck in the drain, and it was obstructing the drain from going down. So that was on a big commercial job, actually. We've seen our fair share, yeah. I mean, from unfortunately houses, infested with fleas, ones with holes in the floor, literally fall through the floor into the crawl space. But we also do the multi-million-dollar houses on Siesta Key that you push a button and the 7-panel sliding glass door just opens up on its own. So pretty nice day of work that day.
There's a lot of variety here in Florida, that's for sure. So why don't you walk me through it? I book an inspection. I show up at 9 a.m. What are you there to do, and what are you actually doing for the next 3 hours?
So your home inspection is we really try to leave no stone unturned. When we get there in the morning, typically we're going to start on the exterior of the house. As we say, we're going to make sure it's not falling down. Thankfully, we don't really find any houses that are falling down. That's kind of just our lighthearted joke. But we're going to go around the outside, checking the exterior walls, outlets, looking at the outside AC, the gutters and the drainage of the lot, looking at the roof. When we go inside, we pretty much just go room by room. We go into the kitchen and preheat the oven, run the dishwasher, check the cabinets, open and close the windows and doors, check your outlets, trip your GFCIs, do that through all the rooms and bedrooms, flush all the toilets, run the showers and the tubs, turn on the ceiling fans, open and close the windows and doors. If you got a pool, we're going to run all your pool equipment, run the pool heater. If you got an outdoor kitchen, we're going to run the grill and the exhaust fan out there and check all the outdoor refrigerators and anything else you might have out there. Do your garage. We crawl through your attic space as much as we can, look at your electrical panels, your inside ACs for the filters and the coils. We do an infrared scan of the entire house. We've been doing it for a while, so we also, like you were saying with the sewer scopes, offer a lot of ancillary services that we would recommend during booking, depending on the age of your house or where it is, any concerns you may have too. So when we're doing a full home inspection like that, like I said, we're pretty much trying to check everything. We don't do irrigation inspections, and we don't do security system inspections. It's about the only limitation we don't have. Every once in a while, there's a weird appliance. We've done houses that have built-in deep fryers in the kitchen. We're not going to inspect built-in deep fryers in the kitchen. So we do have some limitations of just odd things that we're just not the specialists on, but we just say, hey, we need to bring a guy in for that. And then typically other services that we offer with our inspections are sewer scopes. So we normally do that at the end after we've run as much plumbing as we can. We offer indoor air quality sampling. Those are machines that run and suck air over a little microscope slide to check for mold. We do radon sampling. Every home inspector at Hope is a licensed termite inspector, a WDO inspector as we call it in Florida, so we can look for termites. We really try to be a one-stop shop and do it all. As we say, we leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, so it definitely sounds like, you get out there and you guys uncover a lot of things. You provide a lot of information to the potential buyer or client or agent or whoever's actually ordering the inspection. So when I get my report back, it's 60, 70, 80 pages it could be. What do I need to actually look at? What are the important things that I really need to focus on before I decide to put an offer in or actually close on the house?
For sure. So when we do our inspection, at the end of the inspection, if you're there, our report generates a really nice list right on our phone. And so we'll show you photos, or we'll walk you around and show you what to us is the most significant thing, the issue at large, right? What needs to be addressed first. Sometimes those things can just be insurance related. What's part of your 4-point inspection? If there's deficiencies on that, it can be almost impossible for you to get insurance. So those are top of our list. Things that are expensive are going to hurt people money. So at the conclusion of your inspection, you'll get a verbal summary from us. If you're there, we'll walk you around and talk to you about it. If you're not there, we're just going to give you a call, talk to you over the phone. Within 24 hours of your inspection, we get your report delivered to you. Like you said, it's going to be 60 to 80 pages. It depends on the size of the house. It's going to include a couple hundred photographs as well, general photos and photos of all the deficiencies. All the deficiencies will be listed right there, and we always are available on the back end. So what we say is, if you're on site or your verbal call, hey, those are the cliff notes. Look through the whole report. Anything that concerns you, give me a call back. We're available on the back end to talk you through your report, look at the different sections with you, look at the photo you have a question about or anything like that.
So I know a lot of people are out of state. They go to buy a house in Florida. So if I'm living in, let's say, Minnesota or Michigan, doesn't matter, you'll actually like FaceTime me or call me at the end of it to go over everything you found?
Yeah, for sure. If you have FaceTime and our inspector has a FaceTime iPhone, we'll absolutely happily FaceTime you. But yeah, we're verbally calling every client at the end of the inspection to give them a summary of their home.
Now you mentioned 4-point. I know a lot of people have heard 4-point wind mitigation in Florida. Can you break down what actually that is?
So a wind mitigation is a uniform wind mitigation report. Essentially, it's a checklist of how hurricane-proof your house is. And because of certain ways that your house was built, your insurance owes you discounts on your insurance premium for the year. So it's things like the year that the home was built. If a home was built after 2007, that's really the best. A house built after March 1st of 2002 is better, but not as good. And then houses built anytime before that are a separate category. Roofs put on after 2004 are the best. When your roof is attached to your house, it gets a certain nailing pattern of your roof decking to your roof truss system. That's a question. The code is an 8-penny nail with a 6-inch pattern. So we see that just about across the board. Where your roof to wall attachment is, that can be a toenail, a clip, or a strap. So it's noting that. A lot of builders around here use a strap. The shape of your roof, a secondary water resistance, and then impact protection. Region and slope of your roof are on there as well. So it's a very complex form. It's not a pass or fail thing. It's just a checklist of what discounts your insurance owes you because of how your house was built and how fortified it is. The 4-point is really just for insurance to decide if they even want to offer you insurance. We used to see that it was only required on houses that were more than 15 years old, and now we're starting to see it just about on any secondary sale of any house regardless of age. If you want to get insurance in Florida, you need to provide a 4-point and a wind mitigation. So the 4-point is just a very specific form. It talks about your roof, how old it is, how long it has left, and if it has any major defects. It talks about the AC, how old it is, if it's working properly, and again, major defects. The electrical system, it mostly focuses around the electrical panel, the age, the type of wiring, and things like that. And then the other thing is your plumbing, and that basically wants to know the type of plumbing materials, the age of the water heater, if there's any leaks or anything like that. Really, that form is looking for hazards that insurance doesn't want to be liable for. They don't want you to move into a house that has a leak that gets worse and worse and worse, and now they're responsible for taking care of this leak. And that form is really the hang up in a lot of inspections, because when there's deficiencies on it, they need to be corrected for you to close at the closing table. Sometimes what we see is people will try to not do a home inspection and just do a 4-point instead. They are not the same things. The 4-point is, again, it's a checklist for an insurance company. It's not a piece of information for you to make a decision on if you should buy a house or not. When we look at your AC during your home inspection, we get as narrow into looking at the refrigerant line insulation, the filter condition, and things like that. And in a 4-point, it's really just, is it functional and is it not leaking that's causing damage? Oh. Kind of the same thing with the roof. We look at other aspects of the roof that aren't necessarily questioned in the 4-point. A big thing is like just checking stuff throughout the house. It asks for the general condition of the dishwasher and the refrigerator. Well, what does the general condition of those mean? In your home inspection, we're going to take temperatures of them. We're going to look at the seals. We're going to run the dishwasher and everything like that. We don't necessarily have to do that in a 4-point. So you're just short selling yourself. If you already live in a home and you need to renew your insurance, yeah, all you need is a 4-point. But if you're looking at purchasing a place that you don't know anything about, you need to get a full home inspection.
Especially since it's one of the biggest purchases that any of us ever make. You want to get a complete picture and make sure you're making the best financial decision, I would think. Now, that's a good point. I hear a lot of people say that they don't build houses like they used to. What does that actually mean to you? Is that like a good thing, a bad thing? Are there any problems you foresee in the future in, let's say, 10 years? Or are there any benefits or upsides in the next 10 years of how they're building these houses now?
I think we're going to have a lot of both. Yeah, I mean, we always say they don't build it like they used to. Some of that is regards to appliances. We now have regulations that like a dishwasher, when it goes to a landfill, it has to deteriorate. So manufacturers have to make stuff that at some point is going to deteriorate. Whereas back in the 60s, it was, bulletproof and it was going to last forever. So that's why we see our appliances go through. Houses not being built as they were before. Yeah, building practices have changed. And there's good things about that and there's bad things about that. The good thing about that is we know a lot more about building science and the environment and how it affects a house. And so we're doing a lot more protecting of our building. But we're building so much and we've built so much just across the world that our lumber is very different. It's not as strong as it used to be. It's just different. And so, there was plenty of things that were done back in the 60s, built to last, that were wrong. They were using asbestos, they were using lead, they were doing hazardous stuff. When those houses are still around standing, they're great. And I think we're going to kind of look into the same stuff. We're starting to use all these really fancy systems, all this home automation, all these sealed attic spaces, and what does all that add up to when combined together? And some of that we're just not going to know until the long, 20 years from now.
So you don't have like a positive or negative outlook. You think that it's just going to be similar to what we've been doing in the past, and we're going to continue learning about different materials and different systems that we use, and it could be good, could be bad. We just don't know until.
Absolutely. I think, yes, there's going to be weird systems and stuff and things that we think are great that turns out to be not so great. The good thing about building is we're building a lot stronger structures. And in Florida, that's great for us because hurricane season just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. So there is great news there that we have a lot of codes in place around how a structure should be built for wind loads and hurricanes. And that's just making our area safer.
Yeah, we've gone through a couple of hurricanes here in the past couple of years. So I think that's really, and maybe even in the past, 1999, we had one that was pretty bad, I believe. So that's probably helped the buyers and builders understand what they need to do as far as building these houses so that they don't get blown over, the roof blows off, anything like that. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. From basically 99 to, you could say 2012, there was so many changes in code variation around hurricane building, basically.
And we talked a little bit about like the craziest thing you've seen in the last month. A lot of people do DIY, fix it yourself, hire the handyman to come fix something. What's the craziest like DIY repair that you've seen?
Oh gosh. I saw someone had added a bathroom to some understair closet, and they just ran the drain through the staircase and out the front wall of the house. We had an elevated foundation house where they had added a bathroom, and in the crawl space they put a 50-gallon hefty trash can and ran the toilet right into that. It had nowhere to go, just the trash can. We see all sorts of stuff. I would love to have all the guys in here and just have everyone shout out their things. The craziest DIY. I have seen an outside AC unit where the fan motor was broken, so they strapped 4 box fans around the coil and had them all plugged in an effort to help the evaporate the refrigerant back so the inside AC could work. Probably one of the craziest DIYs ever.
So as a master inspector or lead inspector, you've been doing this for, how long have you been doing it?
I'm coming up on 12 years.
12 years. Should buyers, potential clients, potential buyers, should they attend the inspection, and why?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. If you're in town and capable, for sure. If you are in Nebraska and you're moving to Florida, no, you don't necessarily need to fly to town just for the inspection. We got you covered on that one. We're going to do a great job. I promise you that. But we're happy to have you there. If you want to follow your inspection around, we're happy to have that happen. I can guarantee you'll be bored after about 5 minutes. We're taking a couple hundred photos over there. We're really working through and working diligently. We're not there to, talk as much as we would love to get to meet you. We want to do a really thorough home inspection for you. But absolutely, coming to your inspection gives you another chance to view the house, get the measurements, sit on the couch and decide if you want to buy their couch if they're offering to sell it, or bring your own in. Do you want to ship your couch from up north down here? Or do you want to just buy something new? So being at the inspection is a great time for you just to get in your future home again and look around and explore. So we would love you to be there for that. But if you're the person who really wants to be with their inspector step by step, we're happy for that to happen too.
And what would you say that, there's a lot of emotions that go into buying a house, obviously. There's a lot of steps, and for a lot of people, it's their first time ever going through the process. What's one thing that you would think that buyers panic about that isn't necessarily the end of the world or a massive deal?
Man, there can be so many different things that can cause someone to panic, especially it just depends on your past. If you, in your previous house, have had a ton of issues with the roof, and now the house we're looking at, we found some roof damage, it may be a just panic reaction for something that's very normal and easy to fix. So definitely as a first-time home buyer, there can be a lot, and it can be a lot to digest from your home inspection. So making sure you're asking questions, making sure you're calling back afterwards to ask the questions is so important. I would say typically the major components get people fearful when we start talking about issues with the roof, the AC, the plumbing, or the electrical. But some of these things are so small. For instance, missing GFCIs. In your bathrooms or your kitchen, you probably have outlets that have a little button on them. We see a lot of house gets upgraded and they miss a GFCI in the laundry room, or as they were building the house, they missed getting the GFCI in the laundry room on the circuit or something like that. It's a really easy fix. It can sound like a scary issue, but it's not really that concerning. Water heaters that aren't working, people can get really panicky about, but a water heater is not a $6,000 AC system. You can go to Home Depot and get them off the shelf for $500-600. Having them installed is another thing, but it's not that massive of an issue. Really, at Hope, we pride ourselves on being non-alarmists. Everything is fixable. It's just a matter of money. And in your home inspection, we want to use the seller's money.
Now, the inverse, what's something that people generally shrug off that you think they should maybe be a little bit more concerned about?
Mold sampling. If your inspector is coming to you and saying, hey, I found this, we should sample for mold, you should sample for mold. We're not saying it for no reason. We don't make any, yes, there's a fee for doing mold sampling, but your inspector is not getting anything for selling you that service. It's his job to recommend what you need, and so he's bringing that to you. And some people just say oh, no, it's fine. We'll just take care of it, and it can become a bigger issue. So we've had cases where we've said, hey, there's some mold. We should do some sampling. The buyer said no. They had the sellers do a mold remediation. That mold remediation actually made the issue worse. And then when they brought us in on the back end to do sampling and find out how we missed it, it wasn't that we missed it. We didn't go through the proper steps. And so the other thing is when your home inspector is there, he can use that mold equipment as a tool to do a home inspection. After he leaves, for us to come back and do mold sampling, we now need to send a mold assessor because we're not doing a home inspection anymore. So it's actually a lot cheaper to do it in conjunction with your home inspection than it is to do it separately. We have 2 licensed mold assessors at Hope, so we're able to confidently talk about our results and we know what they mean. But doing mold sampling is a huge thing. The cost of doing sampling is pennies compared to the cost of doing mold remediation. And it just checks the unknown. I'm a mold assessor. I'm huge on doing mold sampling. I wouldn't buy any house, old or new, without doing mold testing.
Yeah, and money aside, mold's not something you want to mess around with. You got yourself and potentially your family, maybe little kids or elderly people, compromised immune systems, breathing in this air every day. I would think you'd want to have a good picture and a good understanding of exactly what's in the house.
Absolutely. And we're going to do our most thorough job we can to do your home inspection, but I can't see through a wall. And there could be a condensation issue happening in a wall that I just physically can't see. The infrared didn't get a good view on that because of the configuration. I can't see through a wall, and so there could be a mold issue that if we had done mold sampling, we would have picked up the spores. We're not going to know about it. It's going to be hidden to you, and yeah, you could be living there with your family, suscepting yourselves to toxins from mold that could end up with learning disabilities, autoimmune diseases, really long-term issues by mold. The longer you're susceptible to mold, the more sensitive you become to mold.
Now, when you say you should do mold sampling, or if you or another inspector advises mold sampling, what does that actually mean? Like, what do you guys do?
So we have two different methods. There's air sampling and surface sampling. What we would recommend is during your home inspection, we would recommend a MAQ, mold air quality sampling. We're going to take a vacuum pump into your house. We put a microscope slide on top of it. It's called a cassette, basically a little circle that houses the microscope slide. And that air vacuum pump is going to suck 10 liters of air a minute for 15 minutes. We're going to get 150 liters of air over that slide. And we're going to send that overnight to a lab down in Miami, and they're going to tell us back in the morning exactly what type of mold is there and how much mold is there. So that's what we'd recommend as just a baseline. Is there or isn't there a mold issue present in the house? Those samples are good for about 1,000 square feet, one per floor, one per AC system. Your bundle at Hope comes with 2 interior, and then your inspector will recommend additional ones per the size of your house or any additional concern. The other thing we can do is swabs. So if we're not feeling that there's a humidity or moisture or previous issues in the house that are contributing to mold, but directly see something right next to the toilet shutoff valve, we can swab that and just send away that swab, and the lab will tell us what type of mold that is. There is a ton of mold in the world, and not all of it is super bad for you. Most of it is bad for us, and it just depends on the level that it's at. A mold like Aspergillus penicillium is really, really common in the outside air, and we're really not worried about it inside until its count is in like the thousands. But Stachybotrys, what the media portrays as black mold, it's about the worst there is, and one spore of that in your house is a bad thing. So swabbing, a direct swab, just tells us, hey, is this penicillium, a pretty easy thing that we just need to cut out and remove and take care of, or is this Stachybotrys where we need to spend a lot more time making sure we don't spread it while we're removing it?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously mold in Florida. There's mold everywhere, but it seems to me that you have a better chance or a higher chance of interacting with or having mold potentially in your house in Florida. Florida's climate's obviously very different than the rest of the country and potentially the rest of the world. What are some things that people may need to look out for when it comes to Florida's climate that can be present in Florida that aren't necessarily present elsewhere?
A lot of people moving from the north are used to snow. Well, we don't get snow down here, but we get a lot of rain. And that rain is a great destroyer. Just like UV, the sunlight. The sunlight is a great destroyer. You got to paint your house more often. You got to be more preventative maintenance. You need to spend time around the outside of your house keeping up on it. Every environment has some sort of exterior maintenance and stuff like that. But in Florida, it's really susceptible to the weather. The UV is just going to bake the heck out of it. The wind's going to blow on it and try to force all the water into it with all the rain and stuff we have. So, just being aware that even if you build a new house, that doesn't mean that there's no maintenance required. You always have to be working on your house.
Now, a lot of people, to my knowledge, will be what we call snowbirds. So they'll buy a second house down here in Florida, and then during the winter months when they want to beat the snow, they'll come down to Florida. What are some things, because I've been asked this a couple of times, that maybe preventative home maintenance or things they may need to set up in a house, such as the AC, when they go back home for the 5, 6, 7 months that they're not in their house?
So the biggest thing would be turn the water off. And if we're turning the water off, we need to turn the water heater off too. If you have electric, it's going to be really easy to just go over and flip the breaker or flip the shut-off switch right next to it. If it's gas, you need to turn the pilot light off, turn the gas off, and then you're going to have to be worried about resetting that when you come back home. So in some cases, if you're a snowbird, I would recommend you can get actually a sensor installed on your main water shutoff valve that tells you if you have any flow through it and can automatically shut itself off if it experiences flow. So those are really good, especially if you have a house with gas, because now you're not having to shut the pilot lights off to all your gas appliances and everything like that and worried about restarting them. Because you can potentially damage your water heater if you shut the water off to it and it continues to heat. The other thing would be your AC. We hear stories about people leaving for months and turning their AC off or turning it up to 85, and you are just inviting the microbial growth to come into your house and start taking up space in your seats, your couches, on your ceilings in the bathrooms, anywhere like that. So setting your house to 78 degrees in Florida is a really great temperature. Your AC is going to do a great job at monitoring the humidity and really cycling on and off, and that's a good steady temperature that we find to keep your air, your indoor air at a good level. The other thing is I would highly recommend having a home watch company, someone that's just gonna, or even a friendly neighbor, someone that's just gonna come over and check on the house every once in a while. I've actually heard stories from insurance not paying people out if you haven't had someone regularly visiting your house to check on it while you're not there. A home watch company that would run the water would be great, because what can happen is if you're not in your house for a couple months is your P-traps in your bathrooms can actually start to dry out, and that can allow sewer gas from the sewer lines to enter your home, which just doesn't smell good, can be hazardous to you and everything like that. So yeah, running the water keeps all those P-traps nice and fresh and everything like that. Just checking on the AC, making sure there's no leaks, making sure a roof leak hasn't sprung up or anything like that.
Now, let's say somebody's buying a house next month in Florida. What's one piece of advice or one thing to look out for that you would say?
If you're buying a house in Florida in the next month, I mean, you have to get an inspection. Absolutely. What comes to mind first off is we're right in the middle of hurricane season. So if that's concerning to you, you want to make sure you're looking at houses that are either newer built because they were required to have hurricane protection, or an older house that's been upgraded to either impact rated windows and doors or hurricane shutters.
And would you advise, while we're talking about hurricanes, I know there's different like flood zones and different areas that may be more susceptible to be hit by hurricanes. Is that something you should really focus on when you're looking at the house, or is it something to be aware of after you already move in?
It's something to be aware of. I mean, I think you should know about it before you move in. You need to know what your insurance rate's going to be, and flood zones make your insurance go way up. A flood zone wouldn't necessarily stop me from buying a house if that house checks all my boxes and has everything I want it to do. There's a lot of houses in this area that I know of that I think are beautiful homes, and they're in a flood zone. I would love to live in them still. But it's something to be aware of. And if it's something that you're worried about, you just need to make sure that your realtor knows that, hey, I'm not interested in looking at any homes in a flood zone. There's always, pros and cons to every house. The house I live in, it doesn't have a driveway. It's got a shell driveway. It's not a concrete driveway. That could have been a deal breaker for me, but all the other boxes were checked. So it's just up to you.
That just comes down to personal preference. Would you even call it like risk tolerance?
Yeah, risk tolerance is a great way to say it. You can get a house that's got a brand new roof and brand new plumbing and brand new AC, but it's got the old windows and doors. And you can get a house that's got brand new windows and doors, but it's got an old roof. So it's just what's concerning to you, what you're capable of and what you're comfortable with, and knowing, and so you can plan for the future. It's great. It's not a problem to have a roof that's aging, as long as we know we have a certain amount of years left and we can kind of budget to replace.
Well, I think that was a lot of information. I definitely learned a lot about the home inspection process, you as an inspector, the team at Hope Home Inspections and what we provide. Are there any final takeaways you want to say to, again, potential buyers, agents, builders, tradesmen?
Not every home inspection in Florida is the same. The licensing requirement for home inspection doesn't tell you how to do a home inspection. It just makes sure you're knowledgeable enough to do a home inspection. The different governing bodies, INTRNACHI and ASHI and things like that, again, give you parameters on how to do a home inspection, but they don't black and white tell you how to do a home inspection. So don't assume that every home inspection is the same regardless of price. Ask some qualifying questions to ensure that your home inspection is going to do a diligent job that makes sense to you. We pride ourselves on being very thorough, non-alarmists. Every inspector should be like that. It's an unbiased thing. We are there to report the facts. We're not there to kill your deal or offer an opinion on the paint color of the house. Sometimes we get portrayed as the bad guy. We're not trying to be. We want everyone to get better, and we want to get better too. The only way we can do that is with feedback. So we love reviews. We love having calls from clients and everything like that. We love getting feedback from the builders. We'd love to do work for you.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this, William. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jason. Thanks for having me.